Welcome to Fighting for the Truth with Antoine Thomas. Here we buy the truth and we sell it not. I am very excited to be back with you. This will be the first episode of Fighting for the Truth. Many of you may formerly know it as The Real Talk with Officer Antoine Thomas, where I famously coined the intro of Hello all, hello all. Well, we've since retired that. You can still use it. I promise you can still use it. But on this show, we're going to be fighting for the truth as we always have done. But we're going to focus more on that because it is time in 2025 that we decide to really take back our country and our cities and all the things that we must do to be great Americans. I've been in this fight for many years and I have not backed down. I'm doubling down on this fight, but we are in a world where if it's only two choices, we have to do two things. You're either going to live or you're going to die. And why do you say that? Because as you can see that a lot of people are afraid to speak up and tell the truth. They're suppressing the truth, and therefore you find many people who I will mention here in a little bit later who are becoming innocent bystanders of crimes, and innocent people who are being brutally beat down, killed. It even happened here in the state where I'm located in North Carolina, which I will dive into very briefly. It's not only in New York, it's not only in Chicago and California and Alabama, Louisiana, all these blue states, and I can go on naming more. It is also happening right in your front yards. Okay. And it is up to us to do something about it. And as a police officer, still serving as a police officer, almost 16 years into the industry, I am finding out that people don't want the police. Well, I've already known this for many years now, but I want you to know that I know it. And many of you may not know, but hopefully after I say it, you're going to realize that many people want the police, but they really don't want the police. What do you mean? They only want the police when it benefits them. They don't want them in their neighborhoods until it benefits them. Don't want to speak to one, a police officer, male or female, when they encounter them just on a routine stop, just in a restaurant passing one another. They don't want to speak until they need the police. What we're starting to see now is that when the police are literally going into places where they wasn't welcomed, we see why. Well, you should see why. I already know why because I wear the uniform. But now we're seeing the people that say we needed to defund the police back in 2020. We're seeing that the police are actually doing what we have always been meant to do and what we have always been doing, and that is protecting and serving. And you see that the country is still in an uproar. Well, some people are in an uproar about President Trump using his executive powers, or I should say, invoking his executive powers to have DC cleaned up. You know, one would think that DC would be so beautiful, be crime free. It would be a place where no homelessness is introduced or even least sitting on the streets. But you'll find if you've never been, I welcome that you go, and I challenge you to go. You'll see that DC is not exactly what people make it up to be, being that it is the capital of this great country. But there's lots of homelessness, lots of crime, lots of compromising that happens right there at the White House daily with people trying to breach the security, maybe not necessarily to try and get to the president, but just the act thereof of trying to do it happens every day. I know this for a fact because I myself applied many years ago to become a United States Secret Service member under the uniform division. And during that interview, I spoke with special agents who told me Every day, the White House is compromised. It does not matter who the president is, it's compromised because people believe that it is their house and they believe there's something in there that they want or at least want to see. And most people are doing it now. Obviously, social media is such a big thing in America that they want to make headlines and they want to go viral. So they do things, obviously, most of the time we do not see it. It's not televised or filmed, but every day the White House is compromised through some type of breach. But I'm not here to talk about the White House, but I do want to say that we have to continue to support our president. We have to continue to support his efforts and what he is doing to combat what is going on in D.C. and in other places like Chicago, which we always knew that Chicago had crime, South Side, that was out of control, that needs to be tamed. What you'll find is this: when you actually allow the police to do their jobs, allow us to come in and do what we were paid to do, you will see the reduction in crime. It is true what we've heard from many talking heads that less police equals more crime, more police equals less crime. And all the president is trying to do is say, listen, I love this country enough. And he ran on law and order. So he is doing exactly what he stated he would do. I'm sure President Trump had other things to do with the administration that is much more time consuming that he could be focused on, like world leaders, even as we continue to look at the war that is going, even though it's not our war, but the war that is going on in Ukraine, issues with Vladimir Putin and Vladimir Zelensky. You see, Benjamin Netanyahu, is trying his best, and they're doing a great job of defending his country against Palestine, against the uh, Hamas leaders, against Iran, who's secretly going in and doing things money wise to help continue to fund Hamas's efforts. All this, the country, the president can be focused on, but yet he says, you know, I cannot look on the outside and not look in the inside. And that's what he is doing. He is trying to help reduce crime right here in our own country. And what better way to start in D.C. where he lives? Now, I would say this, and we've seen that Mayor Miriam Bowser has came on record stating that the National Guard's moving in has continued and is continued to help in the reduction of crime. Now, many people say, oh, the National Guard is using police law enforcement powers. They are not. They are helping the police by being a show of force. They do not have arrest power. So, therefore, they're not out kicking in doors and making traffic stops, doing all the things under the umbrella that us as police officers deal with and do. So we have to speak truth. And that is what Fighting for the Truth will be doing. That is what we're going to be talking about. Those are the things that we're going to be addressing. Because as we see across this great country, there is a lot of people who want to see this country destroyed. One being who we all are familiar with, George Soros. He wants to see the great destruction of America, but it will not happen because we stand on foundation of principles and we're guided by truth under our Constitution and governed and created under the laws of God. Even though many have swayed and pushed away God, many of us are still saying, God, come on in. We want you in. You are invited here. Therefore, no man will be able to destroy America. But again, there's people who out there who are trying to do such as that. But the news that I do have for you is just this: you won't prosper. You will not prosper because there are great Americans like myself and many more around this country who is fighting for the truth. Today's show is titled just this way: why is fighting for the truth so important? Well, I have a few points I want to make to you to help you understand why fighting for the truth is important. Fighting for the truth, number one, is important because we have to suppress the lies. We have to uncover all the falsehoods that people are hiding behind. You remember it in 2020, they told us to defund the police. You heard that we needed less police and more social workers. You heard all of that. You heard that crime was not as heinous as they portrayed it to be. You heard all the lies. You heard them spout about COVID. Do I need to go back? If you want to hear those things, go listen to The Real Talk. I still have some shows under the new branch, as we know it now, as Fighting for the Truth. All those episodes are still there. Crime is out of control. What are you going to do about it? You can go back and watch those. I broke it down. I talked about the most dangerous cities and states in America. I have all that listed up there for you, even way before the president thought about coming into DC. I was already speaking about it. Many others, too, was already speaking about it. Of course, President Trump was already speaking about it during his first reign as president. But he doubled down this year, and we're making it happen. We're making it happen. If you want to see better streets, if you want to see safer schools, if you want to see safer grocery stores, safer malls, you have to choose people who are fit for the job. What am I talking about? I'm talking about your city leaders. I'm talking about your mayoral candidates. I'm even talking about your state reps and your governorships, the people that govern our state. Look at Illinois, it's out of control. You got a governor there who is spouting that he doesn't need the help of the government, doesn't need Trump's help. Is it Trump's help that you don't want, or is it legitimately the government's help? I would argue the fact that you don't want Trump's help because you are afraid that he's going to take the credit and say, hey, this is what I helped do under my administration. But at the end of the day, you really have to let it all sink in and boil down that sometimes you have to swallow your pride. When you can't control it, you need to call help. And to be quite frank, that is why we have police. When people can't control their lives, when they can't control their situations, when it's too much for them to handle, they call the police. Think about it. If they could handle it in a safe and smart way, in a less harmful way, then they wouldn't call the police. See, people only call the police when they're at their worst. People only call the police when they actually need the help because they can no longer contain it. I would argue to say that is where Chicago is right now. Yes, that is where Chicago is right now. And that is why you will soon see the National Guard swelling in. And some people think that the National Guard, again, is there to create martial law or to act upon martial law. But President Trump has not declared martial law. All he is saying, I am going to provide a source of help to the law enforcement community. Not that necessarily they can't handle it, but what you'll find within the law enforcement community, speaking about our police chiefs now, is that they are governed by the city manager. That is who they answer to. And if the city manager says we're not going out and we're not fighting crime tonight, guess what's happening? They're not fighting crime tonight. That is why it makes it so unique. A police chief from a sheriff. Sheriff has powers that is given to him by the citizens because he's elected. Therefore, he answers to no one but the citizens. And that is why he or she is able to take back their counties. Ultimately, if they really wanted to, here in the state of North Carolina, the sheriffs have the power to come in and overtake the cities and tell the police chiefs to stand down. Now, that's something you don't see much of, and I really have not seen it um, since I've been in law enforcement. But they do have that particular extensive power to do that if they so wished. But we haven't necessarily got there yet. However, if we don't make a drastic change, we will see that taking place. So I say to you, Chicago, get ready to embrace the National Guards. Chicago PD, get ready to embrace a new found help because they will be moving in shortly. Because we have to take back the streets. The crime in Chicago has always been out of control. But the thing that we're missing, the thing that we do not talk a lot about is the black on black crime that is infiltrating our streets. So you cannot forget about that. That's where it's all starting at. But yet, Mayor Brandon in Chicago speaks about how great and prosperous Chicago's is and is doing. He also states he doesn't need the help of President Trump administration. Matter of fact, he states, and the governor himself as well states that the administration is not welcomed in Chicago and Illinois. Truth of the matter is that they are welcomed. And how are they welcomed? They're a branch of the government. They have a right to be there. Let alone the National Guards will be coming from your own state. All should know that. National Guard is made up of your state uniform division as it pertains to the military. If you didn't know, now you know. But I do want to talk briefly about the senseless crime that happened in Charlotte back on August the 22nd. Of course, the video has just been released by the Charlotte Police Department, or really the Metro Police Department, there as it pertains to what I believe they have their own force there that helps patrol the light rail. But ultimately, I believe this was released by the Charlotte Mech Police Department, better known as the Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department. But if you haven't seen the video, it's very sensitive. Of course, they don't necessarily show the actual stabbing, at least from the videos that I've watched, but I'm sure one's out there. Maybe it's censored by now. But you see basically a young lady, first of all, by the name, I got to get her name right. If you bear with me, I'll be able to find her name as I scroll through my sources here. Erna Zaruska, who was born in Kiev, Ukraine, moved to this great country, and moved to the city of Charlotte back in 2022. Video shows Miss Zaruska get on the metro, make her way into a vacant seat, which I'm sure I can speak for her at this moment. If she would have known that a guy by the name of DeCarlos Brown was going to stab her 3 times, I am pretty sure, don't know her, never heard of her until this time, would have not chosen to sit in front of this maniac, who, by the way, suffers from schizophrenia, who, by the way, had a long rap sheet, including robbery, breaking and entering, assaults, but yet a judge who is under scrutiny at this point, which I'm so glad is coming to light, is under scrutiny for letting him out instead of giving him into a mental institution to get the right treatment. Let him out. Brown's mother is on record even stating that the criminal justice system failed her son, and as a result, he committed a heinous crime of murder. He is currently being charged with first-degree murder. Weak leaders, weak criminal justice leaders, people that you've elected, judges, attorneys, district attorneys, to serve in your cities. I'm calling Charlotte out tonight. Charlotte, you failed Miss Zaruska by electing judges who does not take the law into account, does not weigh both sides, obviously was not a fair and impartial judge. How do I know that? Because a fair and impartial judge would have not allowed the release of Mr. Brown, knowing the circumstances that he faced, knowing how vicious, knowing how cruel, knowing how dangerous he has been. You let him out. And you have to suffer those consequences. Matter of fact, the weight and the burden should be on your shoulders. You ought to feel very ashamed. And I hope very soon that particular judge is voted out of office. It's time that we stop again of electing weak leaders. Weak leaders, they tell you who they are. They say they're soft on crime. And in 2025, we have no room to be soft on crime. Said it in the previous show. What happened to if you do the crime, you got to do the time? What happened to that? Nothing wrong with admitting that if a man commits a crime, woman commits a crime, that there's penalties that they have to face. Go to other countries and try these things and see if the crime does not fit the punishment. And you'll find most times it doesn't. It's much more, it's much greater. And yes, I understand our Constitution says that we have to have um, a right to a speedy trial. I understand that we talk about in our Constitution no excessive bails, no unusual, cruel, and unusual punishment. I'm aware of all that. I know the Bill of Rights talks about it. But there are some crimes out there that just should be cruel and heinous. And committing murder against an innocent person is one of them. We have no room for this. This is why I'm tough on crime. Yes, I am a fair and impartial law enforcement officer, aka police officer. But at the end of the day, when I know for a shot of a doubt, I have the evidence, I have the proof, I have probable cause to believe that somebody has committed a crime, I charge them accordingly because that is what the law has told us to do. Now, why can't these district attorneys, these judges, live up to what they also took an oath to? You even said that you would uphold the Constitution. Many are not doing it. So my heart goes out to the Zeruska family. My heart goes out to the Brown family as well, because the justice system failed them as well. And think of this: Ms. Zeruska and her family fled Ukraine back in 22, where war is wreaking upon that country. Just imagine. I'm sure they imagined a life that would be peaceful, a life where their family could live and continue to thrive in, a life where they moved to a country where war is not happening. But yet, she was brutally stabbed. What makes it even worse, a random act. So my heart goes out to that family. And to the Zaruska family, if you ever get a chance to watch this, just know that America is not built on those foundations. North Carolina is not built on those foundations. There are good people in Charlotte, North Carolina. However, the system has failed you. And I say to every citizen in Charlotte and all other surrounding blue cities and even the states, but right here in North Carolina on November, you have an opportunity to change the trajectory and the state of mind of voting wrong. I say to you, get out there and vote. Get rid of your elected officials who does not have your best interests, who is weak on crime rather than tough on crime. Let your voice be heard. Don't sit this one out. Go and vote and make the right decisions. This is why fighting for the truth is important. I have more to tell you about. I could go on and on. But instead, we have to be willing to really look at the facts. We have to say, okay, this is where I'm at in this day and time. This is really where I want to be, but I can't get there because I'm afraid. I'm afraid to walk outside. I'm afraid to go to work. I'm afraid of my kids playing. Well, guess what? You have opportunity to change the trajectory of how you are voting. Start now. Vote right so that you don't get left behind. I say that very often, and I really mean it. It's a play on words, but at the end of the day, it's truth. Stop voting weak left elected officials. And for once in your life, take an opportunity, take a stance, take a chance, and vote right. Literally, vote for the right leaders. Vote for those who will stand up and fight. But what you'll find is that they're going to be on the right side. They're going to be on the conservative side because we believe in conservatism. We believe in fighting for the country, our states, our cities, our families, our friends, our neighbors. We believe in a safe society. We believe that if I have some, I want you to also have it. If you ask, you can get it. We believe in the Christian Judeo values. That is what a conservative does. And overall, we believe in being a good steward over our lives, our finances, families. Take a stab at it. Take a shot at it. Try it. Tell me how you like it. You have the chance to make a difference. And on the show, we're going to be doing just that. We're going to be diving in. Listen, I have some great guests that'll be coming onto this show. I have some interesting people, interesting lineups, interesting interviews that are coming. This show is going to be unlike any other that you have ever listened to, watched. And I'll tell you what, I've been gone for a very long time. And the reason why I've been gone, I had the opportunity to work for Turning Point USA as a full-time employee, as I also wore the police uniform, and they had took a lot of my time. The ride was fun. The ride was pretty. The ride was long, and the ride was also busy. I did my time, and now I'm back with you. And this is what I'll be doing from now on. We're going to be talking about how we can fight for the truth. If you stay tuned, you'll watch more episodes. If you stay tuned, you'll see a lot of great guests on this show. I'm going to leave you, but before I go, would you please do me a favor and do me this favor, please? And I want you to really do it. I want you to buy the truth. And once you buy it, sell it not. Thank you. And until next time, are, you have been listening to Fighting for the Truth with Antoine Thomas. We'll see you very soon. Thank you. I'm loving it.